The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, my name is Jillian Schaefer and I'm the Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, KPIs in Natural Language Analytics for Distribution and Manufacturing, presented by Joni Girardi of DataSelf. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise down. However, you can submit any questions you have throughout the webinar. To submit a question, look for the questions section in your GoToWebinar. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this presentation and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees as well as to those who registered but were not able to attend. Please take a moment at the end of the presentation to answer our one survey question. With that said, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to attend our webinar. We're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions and help you find an easier way to run your business by providing you software and industry knowledge, tools, and support whenever you need it. We've invited DataSelf here today because they are the industry experts on business intelligence. So whether you're here doing research for a new solution or you're just here to learn, we'd like to encourage you to ask any questions throughout the webinar. Lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and software tips and tricks on our social media channels, so we encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Joni.
All right. Can you see me and can you hear me?
Yep. Looks
Perfect.
great.
All right. Well, Jolene, thank you for the introduction. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Joni Girardi. I'm DataSelf's founder and CEO. Today we'll talk about key performance indicators in natural language for distribution in manufacturing companies. Just before I get started, we're super excited with SWK. They are actually one of our clients as well. They use DataSelf analytics for their own internal analysis of their metrics. So it's a big partnership, and SWK is very successful. And also we help a little bit making their decision-making process easier and faster. So let me get going through my presentation. One of the good news about distribution in manufacturing companies is you or they have a lot of valuable data in their systems. You know, most likely many of you here are using Sage or Acumatic and other systems for your manufacturing distribution processes. So there's a lot of data that you're capturing. Where are the places where you're capturing your data? Just to give an idea, you know, again, probably you have either Acumatic or Sage for your ERP, MRP system, but you also might have a CRM system like, you know, Salesforce. You might have Excel sheets with, you know, budgeting, forecasting, commission. You might have HubSpot, e-commerce. There's usually every company has dozens of systems that is capturing data to run the business, you know, payroll, weather, bank information. There's just a lot of data silos. So these are just, you know, some of the kind of, you know, data sources that we see out there that when you run a business, you probably have many of the systems and even others. What we call this is a data house divided. Data is in different systems. And if you want to see your metrics, your key performance indicators, usually you have to go to each system individually. You have to have credentials. You have to know how to report out of it. It's just very time-consuming and frustrating sometimes. So we call the data house divided. Management quite often complains about flying blind. The data is there, they own the data, it's a few clicks away, but still is hard for management to have visibility into the operations. And the common complaint is flying blind. A very common way to handle the data house divided is using tools like Excel or Crystal or reporting services. And then there's a person or sometimes a small team and sometimes external consultants that will be hearing what the decision makers want and pull the data out of these different systems, store in Excel and whatnot, you know, go through macros and batches and what. I mean, it's a fairly time-consuming process, error-prone, and usually slow. So we call this Excel hell. Nothing wrong with Excel. Excel is a great tool, but it's just because you have so many different reports in, again, Excel or Crystal or whatever, that it becomes slow, complicated, hard to keep track of. Is this report with the fresh data? Is the data accurate? Are the numbers here the same numbers as another report? It's just very hard to keep track of things when you work with this kind of regular way that people do analysis out of their data house divided. And overall, very labor intensive. We have so many clients that they spend hours and hours and hours on an ongoing basis, weekly, monthly, or quarterly to keep up with those things, and it's expensive and it's slow. So what I'm going to show is some ways to tackle this kind of complexity. And I'm going to be using the data self approach, even though if you're having the pains we just talked about, you could also build your own framework from scratch. So a main framework to solve the problems we just discussed is using what's called data warehousing technology. Data warehousing technology is a way to get all of your data silos, no matter what it is, your Sage, your Acumatica, your Salesforce, your Excel sheets, your payroll, weather, data, Google Analytics, social media, bring all the data you care for reporting into a single location that's going to be the single version of the truth. In this single location, the data warehouse, you can blend your data together to have touch points of your customers, of your products across different data silos all together. So from a customer standpoint, you could see customers in social media, you could see customers putting proposals in your CRM system or your ERP, you could see the actual sales orders in your ERP, you can see the actual sales, you can see the receivables. All of these different data points can be these different touch points can be all together for easier analysis. So data warehouse is an important component to bring the data together. The way we do it, we use SQL Server and we use our own ETL tool that makes this whole deployment and maintenance easy. And then we recommend using easy to use reporting tools, and Excel is definitely one of them. When you pull data out of a data warehouse, Excel becomes easier, faster, more reliable for reporting. But we also encourage using tools like Tableau and Power BI, which are even easier, faster, more intuitive for decision makers to find their metrics and KPIs anytime and anywhere. Data Self, we have been doing this for over 15 years, and we have built more than 5,000 reports, dashboards, and KPIs available out of the box. And I'll show you some of them as we go to the presentation. And I'm going to show some of the KPIs that are important for distribution manufacturing keep track of, regardless of how you get to those KPIs. But this is the architecture of how we do this framework. So what I'm going to show you next is how data warehousing fixes the data house divided problem. We call the data house united once you have a data warehouse. I'll show about a little over a half a dozen KPIs that are popular for distribution manufacturing companies. And I'll show how natural language, artificial intelligence, and machine learning that we have incorporated in Data Self, or you can source anywhere else, can help you be more on top of your metrics and key performance indicators. So having said that, I'm going to switch to the Data Self portal. And in my presentation, again, I'm gonna show the Data Self approach, but you can also build things from scratch using the tools that I described before in the architecture perspective. This is kind of an out-of-the-box solution from Data Self. So when I log into the portal as a user, let's say the CFO, the COO, the VP of sales, wherever the people have access to your portal, when you log in, you can see something like this, this framework. This is an example where we have sales coming from the ERP system. You can have pipeline information like from Salesforce or the Acumatica CRM or Sage CRM, doesn't matter, it's the CRM data. You might have an e-commerce platform. You might have, HubSpot and Google Analytics, more CRM, more ERP information, payroll. The point is, all of your data silos start to become your data house united. And as a user, if you have access to all your data sources, you don't have to know how to log into any of them, because as the CEO or the CFO, you only care about reporting and data analysis. So you can just come to Data Self and you see all your data silos together. You just point and click. So this is the concept of the data house united, is put all of them together in a single place where management can have easy visibility to their key performance indicators. Now, I'm going to show a few of these KPIs that are important for distribution manufacturing. I'm going to show some of the on the sales side that is very popular. I'm going to show one of them on the inventory management, manufacturing, and then in cash flow. Then after, I talk about natural language and customizations. So let me talk about some of the KPIs for sales analysis. Distribution manufacturing companies are very sales-driven organizations. And many of the questions are, what I'm selling this year, by month, by quarter, the whole year, to who I'm selling. Is it growing or declining since last year in the same period? And when you want to slice and dice those questions. So for that kind of problem or data analysis, we have out of the box this year-over-year dashboard. Actually, I have to reload my page. Oh, there it is. So when I click the 2 year-over-year dashboard, I go to this view that is available out of the box in Data Self, where you can see the total sales this year, the total sales last year, in the variance, the total variance, from one year to another. Right now, the current year is 2020. So the dark blue is 2020 and the light blue is 2019. And I'm looking only the first 6 months of the year. In my sample database, today is July the 3rd. So I'm doing a year-to-date comparison. So, from period 1 to 6, I see this year, dark blue, last year, light blue, and how I'm doing compared to last year. I can see by customer, all my customers are here. I can see sales last year, this year, and the variance. I can see the product, the same information, and I can see the ship to. So the whole perspective is right there. And then if you want to change the periods, like I mentioned, hey, how am I doing only on the second quarter? I can select only the second quarter, press apply. Now I see only in the second quarter of this year and last year how I'm doing, as I'm growing or declining. Maybe I want to see the whole year. Well, in my current year, the dark blue, I only go through the beginning of July, and then the last year I have the whole data set. So, easy to change the filtering for different periods, 1 year over the other year. Now, typically when people are analyzing this data and they see these trends, they might say, hey, look at this. This customer is one of my top customers this year, is declining quite a bit. What's happening with this customer? Well, if I click on any data point, like I'm clicking on this customer, it filters the whole dashboard. So this is the total for this customer. This is the trend analysis, what I'm shipping, and what products are driving the decline. Maybe I actually want to see these 2 customers that are declining quite a bit. I'm going to select those 2 customers. And now what happens is the whole dashboard changes again to show the totals, the trend analysis of them combined, what I'm shipping to, and the products that are driving the decline. And right here, I see that this product is driving most of the decline for both products. That could be something that you can work to try to fix the problem and whatnot. So this kind of KPI is good because it starts giving you high-level perspective. You can pick and choose the periods, the customers, the locations. And if in case you want to see the details, when I see the invoice number, the invoice date, you can choose this show details option. And when you click on it, now at the bottom of the dashboard, it will show you all the, the invoice number, the invoice date, the customer, the salesperson, the product description, quantity sold, sales amount, all the details at the bottom, so you can see detailed analysis after you find out something at the high level analysis. So looking at year-over-year sales and allowing your salespeople extensively slice and dice the data is usually a major KPI for distribution and manufacturing companies. And this is a template that we usually provide out of the box for many of our clients. Let me go back to my main menu and talk about some other KPIs. Other KPIs that are critical for distribution manufacturing companies is looking at the tip of the growth in performance. Who is the biggest, who is growing the most, who is the smallest, or who is declining the most, maybe by customer, by product, by territory, and whatnot. For that kind of analysis, looking at the tip of the growth in the size curve, we have what we call the hot, which is the hot customers, the hot products, and the cold, meaning the cooling off customer products and whatnot. So let me show some examples. I'm going to click the hot performers. So this report has two sections. It shows the on fire, meaning is the top, in this case, customers by sales in a given period. Period 2 is defined by these boxes here. And this side of the analysis is who's heating up. Heating up means is the top sales growth from period 2 to period 1. So you can define any date range, could be full periods, could be any period. Then you see the top in that particular period and who's growing the most from one period to another. Now, this is highly flexible. So I'm looking at customers. What if I want to see product instead? I can come over here and select product instead. So now the whole analysis is done from a product standpoint. Which products are on fire? Which products are heating up? Maybe you sell oil and you don't care about sales, you care about quantity or gross profit. Sure, you can come over here and say, show me the quantity sold instead. And when you select quantity sold, now the report shows the hot products by quantity sold in the ones that are heating up the most. So let me go back to customer here and show the last perspective or this kind of KPI. Let me pull back to sales again. So I'm back to looking at my hot customers. And suppose I want to see some of them, I want to see more details. I can select a few of the customers. I'm going to select this, 5 customers. By doing so, it will show at the bottom what products were sold to these customers in those periods, and also if they're part of the heating up customers growing the most. The point is providing a visibility into top performers as well as who is growing the most or declining the most is critical, and we highly encourage you to provide this kind of KPIs for your management. The same way we have the hot, we have the cold. So the cold is looking at which customers, products, those people are declining the most between period 1 and period 2, and we call the frozen. The frozen were which ones were buying last year or you were selling last year or last period, but not at all this period. So those KPIs are usually critical to help you keep focus of the main initiatives. I'm going to show 2 more on the sales side. One is the Pareto chart. Pareto chart is the idea of looking at your 80-20% rule. What are the most important customers that you should be focusing on? And in our out of the box, the Pareto chart focuses on a profitability standpoint. So right now I'm going to the Pareto chart out of the box dashboard. And right now I have my customers. And again, I could easily see something else. I have my customers in a descending order based on gross profit. So this is the most profitable customer. The ones in blue, they're actually the top 80%. The ones in blue represent 80% of my total gross profits. And the ones in red are the bottom 20% of my gross profit. And then I can see other metrics, in this case, sales. So some of the questions could be, why my top customer by sales is so much more profitable than the others? Can you learn something about that to hopefully make the other customers as profitable? Or maybe why some of my customers have a lot of sales, but their profitability is so small? Unless you look at the perspectives from this angle, it's hard to know those trends, and it's hard to learn the main trends behind your business that can help you maximize profitability and reduce your losses. If I choose product, for instance, here, so now I'm going to change the Pareto analysis to show this perspective from a product standpoint. So these are the products with the biggest profitability. And look at this. Why is this product with such a large sales be so unprofitable? A good example of this kind of perspective that actually happens in some of our clients is, this is like milk in a grocery store. Maybe you don't make a lot of money out of selling milk, but because it brings people to buy milk, some people buy beer and other products that are so much profitable. So sometimes you actually want some of your products be somewhat profitable to drive more business towards complementary products. Anyhow, looking at Pareto analysis is usually important, and there are many ways that you can learn how you can customize these reports and dashboards to adapt to a Pareto that is specifically around your specific business needs. But out of the box is what I'm showing you that will come with Data Self. The last sales dashboard I want to show is the daily flash sales. We have so many clients where management complains that they were flying blind, and they would only see some trends, good or bad, like weeks or days after the fact. So the daily flash report is a way to keep track of the most important, customers, products, salespeople, territories, whatever is important for your salespeople, to see what happened yesterday, or maybe to what's happening today. If you need to see things more frequently refreshed, this could be today flash sales report. And again, you can see the big numbers at the top. You can see your ship to, your salespeople, your customers, products, and all the details readily available, refresh automatically, so management can keep track of what's happening now, not at the end of the month or weeks later. All right, so those were some of the KPIs we have seen that many of our clients in distribution manufacturing pay attention from the sales side perspective. I'm gonna go now into the inventory management, and I'm gonna click the on-hand products. So most of manufacturing and distribution companies, they are highly focused on products, what they're selling, and managing inventory is important. So this is one example of a dashboard available out of the box, looking at products by warehouse. You can see when was the last date you sold the product. If something is getting too sitting on your inventory, not moving, what should you do about it? Or if some items you're selling, but they're selling very slowly, so there's a way to see slowly moving items. And overall, how many days of stock you have per product, and then you can see the ones that are moving the most. You have a perspective of, should you produce more? Should you buy more? So this is a kind of a way to look at KPIs around inventory on hand. Inventory planning is a big deal for a lot of manufacturing distribution companies. So let me click the inventory planning dashboard. Again, there's a template that can be customized specifically around your needs. But here, for every product you have a line, and then you have what you have on hand today. So this is the week, this current week. So how many you have today of this item, how much you have on work order or purchase order, inbound items. So this by week moving forward, what's coming into your inbound. If you have something on sales order, that you already have sold. So what is the outbound items already guaranteed in your sales order? And then we have the sales projection. Sales projection can be calculated in so many ways. How do you calculate your sales projection today? We can probably replicate that business model, or we can even enhance with better ways to do sales projection. Anyhow, once we plug these numbers, live data from your system plus projection, we can forecast your on-hand projection moving forward. And when the item, when the minimum quantity on hand, you are below that, it becomes red, meaning in this case, this item on the week 40, I'm going to run out of items to provide my forecast sales. And then the inventory planning people have to order more items, purchase more raw materials, manufacturing, whatnot. But this is kind of the template, and you can select, here on the right, ABC products by warehouse, growth ratios, and whatnot. So anyhow, this is a way to help you plan for your inventory forecast and planning. I'm going to talk a little bit about the manufacturing side of it. Manufacturing is usually the setup of the manufacturing system can take some time because most manufacturing systems are very specific to a manufacturing process. So I'm going to just show a little bit of it. I'm going to show the BOM part of it, the bill of materials. And here the idea is you look at your finished goods, what you have today available to ship, what you have sold, and if you have what you have sold is bigger than what you have available, becomes red, meaning you have to buy more raw materials to fulfill those orders. In this whole dashboard, the idea is to explode your finished goods into its subcomponents or subassemblies or all the levels and see what you need for every of those subassemblies and how short you are to produce those items. You can see the whole raw materials by BOM, and this would be the complete list of raw materials that you need to buy in order to fulfill whatever that are your finished goods. Again, in data self, everything is highly customized. So if you select, let's say, these 3 raw materials, I can select them. You will filter the dashboard to show how these raw materials will be affecting your production of your items. The last dashboard I'm going to show on the manufacturing side is just a high-level way to see manufacturing KPIs on the production side. So here would be something showing units produced by item, the percent loss, which are the dots. This would be the operators by product, and then you can see the average hours to produce. You see what you have to ship for the next days or weeks. Defects, if it's something you keep track of, we can plug this kind of widget to show defects by type and by your production facilities, for instance. And again, highly interactive. If you want to see what's happened with those 2 products, you can just select those 2 products, and the whole dashboard will be filtered to show the metrics around those 2 products. Highly interactive. All right. So that was the manufacturing. The last thing I'm going to show as an out of the box or kind of KPIs that many companies use is cash flow. Cash flow is king. Many people use Excel extensively for cash flow analysis. If you're happy with that, keep it. This can be complementary or it can be replacing your cash flow analysis in Excel. The idea is to show some numbers as a chart and then show all the details, all the inbound money and outbound money that you have, showing like an Excel tab here, and then you can see also graphically. And then again, this is highly interactive, and it also provides what-if scenarios. So like my example right now, I can see that this is today, the bars going up is inbound money, the bars going down is outbound money, and this is my line of credit. And I see that on this day, I'm going to be running out of cash. And let's say that yes, when I look at this dashboard, I was not having that issue. What happened with this bar? I can click this bar, and what it will do, it will filter on the right exactly what happened in that particular day. And then in this example, I see that there's one vendor with $4 million in a bill. Let's say, oh, this is a mistake. This vendor has not been approved. We haven't completed the transaction. I want to remove this vendor from my cash flow analysis to do a what-if scenario. Sure, I can click on that vendor and I can say, exclude this vendor from my cash flow analysis. When I exclude, it will get out of my complete analysis. And again, I'm no longer having my cash flow crossing my line of credit. So easy, fast, intuitive way to do analysis, automatically refreshed every day. So you can focus on data analysis, not on data crunching and is my Excel correct? Has my Excel being updated with the latest data? Is there a mistake in my Excel? With this, pretty much most of those issues will be gone. All right, so what I showed you so far are many of these KPIs that are important for many distribution manufacturing. What I'm going to show you now is a little bit of the natural language framework that also can benefit dramatically decision makers. Natural language it's a fairly new technology. It's about 5 years old-ish, but it's already super empowering. Imagine that you can allow your decision makers, which are not necessarily tech savvy with your ERP system, for them to ask questions that they have and find answers like searching the internet, like in Google or Bing. They type in a question, and the tool will provide them not with an article, but with a chart or report answering the question. That's what natural language does at the report level. I'm going to show you how that works right now, clicking the natural language query. In my example, it's looking at sales analysis from the ERP system. But any data brought into the data cell framework, data warehouse, people can do natural language to find answer to their questions. So in this example, I'm looking at my sales data from the ERP system. And let's say I'm the VP of sales. I'm going to see sales by salesperson in the current year. So I'm going to say sales by salesperson in 2020. So I just type the question like I would do in Google. The tool show me the hits. The hits are like, you know, when you do a search on the internet, it shows you which articles might answer your question. You find the right one. In this case, this is the answer to my question. When I select it, magic happens. It's not magic, it's technology, of course. But the idea here is by salesperson is showing sales in the year 2020 in a descending order. So from scratch, the tool answered the question instantly and accurately. You have to know how to ask the question, and if you ask the question correctly, and the tool understand your question, the answer will be given instantly and accurately. It's really cool. Maybe you want to break down this by month. Sure, by month, you type again, complement your question. You'll find the hits. You choose the right one. So when I see by document date, the tool will do in this case, in 2020, by month, I see sales by salesperson using a line chart. So very easy. Now, many people, when they look at this data, they might not like the chart. They might want to see something else, or maybe a grid like in Excel. So sure, I can go to this drop down and select a text table. And now their report that was a line chart becomes a grid like in Excel. And now I can see the numbers by the penny. So easy to get a question answered, get to the data. And sometimes, hey, I want to put this data in Excel. Sure, I can select the data points. Like in this case, I'm going to select the January data points. And I tell the tool, show me the data. And this want to open another page specifically with the data points you selected. And in this case, I want to see all the details, invoice number, invoice date, the customer, everything. And now I can download that data. It's going to come into Excel. And if I want to see the data in Excel, it just takes a few clicks to see everything in Excel. And this is transactional. I went from the high level, summarized data by month, by salesperson, all the way down to the line item of my invoices. So natural language is amazing technology. Still, like searching the internet, you will not find answer to all your questions. Absolutely not. But like the internet, a lot of the questions will be answered instantly and accurately. Typically, the reports and dashboards that I showed you before, you know, this more elaborate, those things cannot be built with natural language. You need to know how to use the report editor to build these reports and dashboards. So when you learn both natural language and the report editor, you become very self-sufficient. And that's what I'm going to show you next, how to use the report editor to build reports and dashboards from scratch. And the idea here is to not to teach you how to do it, but to show that it's easy and it's dramatically easier than using Crystal, Excel, reporting services, or the, let's say, the Acumatica report designer that they have built in. So now I am switching into the report editor, and I'm currently using the engine called Tableau behind the scenes. The beauty is there's on the left panel, the data being pulled from the data warehouse. So mapping the fields here, it's a more technical job. So you need to know tables and fields to populate this left panel. If you're using Acumatica, we use GIs. If you use Sage, can be a SQL Server, can be Providex. So the person maintaining this list needs to be more technical. But once this build has been customized to your specific needs, Now, even business people with little training, sometimes only with a demo like this, they can do a lot of reports and dashboards because it's mostly drag and drop. So let me show some examples. Suppose I want to build a dashboard from scratch showing sales by customer and product in the last 2 years. I want to see that as a grid. I want to see some trend analysis of my sales and profitability over time. And then I want to see sales by territory, by state. That's what I'm going to do now in the next 7-8 minutes, showing from scratch how to build this dashboard. So the first report I want to see is sales by customer, by product, the last 2 years. So I want to find customers right here. You just drag and drop customer to your report. These are all the customers. I want to see sales. I'm going to find sales right here. I'm going to drag and drop into my report. So this is sales by customer in the whole company history. Well, I want to see by year. I'm going to take my document date and put in my columns. And by default, the tool will put all my company history as columns. Well, I only want to see the last 2 years. So I want to tell the year to make a filter so I can filter my dashboard and just show the last 2 years. So there it is. I can see sales by customer in the last 2 years. Well, I also want to see sales by customer and by product. I think you already got the hang of it. You find the next data point, product, and you drag and drop into your report. So right after customer, sales by customer by product for the past 2 years. If you know how to drag and drop, point and click, you can do it. And if you want to say sales by product by customer, you just put the customer after the product, and now you have by product by customer the last 2 years. So that's simple. Let me reverse it again. All right, so this is one of the widgets of my dashboard. Now I want to see trend analysis. I'm going to click create a new sheet, like in Excel, a new tab. So now I have a new blank sheet. In this case, I want to see sales. So I'm going to double click sales. The tool gives me a bar for my whole history of sales. But I want to see by month. So I'm going to double click my date. And by default, it will give me a line chart of my total sales by year. I want to see by month. So I'm going to tell, don't show me year. Instead, show me month. So I'm going to choose month. And right now, I have the total sales in the whole company history. And I'm going to compare with my gross profit percentage. What's happening with my gross profit percentage? Sure. Gross profit percentage is right here. I'm going to drag and drop into my report. And there it is. On the top, I have gross profit percentage. And at the bottom, I have my sales. Typically, when you're combining two metrics, it's good to show what we call the dual axis approach. Dual axis approach will give, in this case, let me make my sales make bars so it's easily to tell apart. So sales are bar in orange, and my gross profit is the blue line. And guess what? What is this data here? Probably I migrated from one ERP to another in early 2015. So this data kind of is looking ugly, not helpful. Well, let me make a filter of my document date. Let's say I only want to bring data starting in 2015. So just let's get rid of those bad data at the beginning, just to be focused on the last few years. All right, that was it. Sales and profitability analysis over time. That's my second widget. The last widget, I'm going to create a new sheet, is I want to see by ship to, I want to see ship to state, I want to see my sales. So I just want to see sales by ship to and show this on a map. So right now I'm showing ship by state on a map where the size of the bubbles is bigger sales, bigger bubble. And that's it. In a few minutes, I create those 3 different reports separately. And now I'm going to create a new dashboard. A dashboard is a way to combine several views together. So in this case, I want to put my analysis, the detail on the right. I want to do my trend analysis at the bottom. So just drag and drop at the bottom, my trend analysis. In my map, which is the sheet 3, I'm going to put on the top right on this quadrant here. Just drag and drop. And that's it. I just built this dashboard from scratch. And now I can save it. It's a new dashboard, and it's highly interactive. So I just saved it. And I could tell my salespeople, VP of sales, hey, there's a new dashboard called sales dashboard. They can now open this dashboard in their mobile devices, like a tablet, and they could use their fingers, for instance, to do analysis. Let's say, hey, how I'm doing on the West Coast. I select those 3 states. It shows what about in the Northeast? What about in the Southeast? Highly interactive. So this is one of the beauties of this framework if you use our technology. Quickly out of the box, we have a lot of mappings into this popular ERP and other systems in the mid-market, and you can get up and running and give your decision makers much more power to see KPIs on day one, and the ability for them, for decision makers, to easily slice and dice their data with the dashboards, or use natural language to find answers to their own questions. And for the people who assist decision makers, the kind of the business analysts, we provide tools that will automate mechanical reporting things, so you don't have to be exporting to Excel and do manipulation. The data warehouse will be doing the data prep for you and automatically distributing reports to your users. How about distributing reports to your users? How can you get a dashboard report into people's inboxes automatically? You, the admin person, or you, the user, if you want to see this dashboard coming to you on a regular basis, you go to your dashboard in Data Self, you click the subscribe button, and then you tell who should you receive this dashboard. I want to receive it. I want to add, let's say, Taylor, oopsie, Taylor, just add people, and as many as you want. You tell, show me only this view or send the whole workbook. So if I send a report weekly, daily, monthly, a financial booklet to a bunch of people, you can create several tabs with all the reports that you want. So instead of calling only one view, you send the whole workbook. You tell, oh, go as a PDF file, put a subject to your email, and then tell how often you want to send this report. Let's say I want to send Mondays, 7 Pacific, subscribe, and that's it. From now on, automatically, the whole workbook will be refreshed and emailed to all the people completely hands-off. So very easy to distribute reports into people's inboxes automatically. Alrighty, so that was the product presentation. I hope you have found some inspiration. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. What about pricing of Data Self? In case you decide to sort of build from scratch some of these KPIs that I showed, how much is it going to cost to get Data Self up and running? The entry-level price is $299 per month. There's a 14-day free trial. If you want to learn more about the pricing options of Data Self, what you do is you go to the Data Self website. So go to dataself.com. And right below the main banner, you'll see here the systems. So let's say you have Acumatica or Sage. You click on the logo of your product. So in this case, I'm going to click Acumatica. Right here, you have a little explanation of our main offers. The advanced analytics, which is pretty much what I showed you today, starts at $299. But we also have an enterprise analytics that has even more capabilities that starts at $1499. Most of our clients start here and never leave advanced analytics. Some clients with bigger reporting problems, they'll find enterprise that have even more functionality to help them address those problems. Anyhow, if you scroll down on this page, kind of halfway, you get to the pricing list of advanced analytics, and then you can see the beginning pricing, what is included. It includes 10 users. These are our 10 Tableau users. If you want more users, this is the total per month. If you want additional templates, this is the price per month based on different resource level for Acumatica. So to find pricing for your solution, again, go to the homepage of Data Self, click the product logo for Sage, let's say Sage 300, Sage X3, click your product, scroll down, and you'll see the pricing right there. Or contact with your SWK CAM account manager, and they'll talk about your needs, see how Data Self can help. Remember, SWK uses Data Self internally, so not only they can talk about your needs, but they probably can also relate how they're using internally and hopefully how they can inspire you hopefully help your team to be more data driven and spend less time with data prep, more time analyzing your metrics. So back to my PowerPoint. That's the initial pricing. And I'm going to open questions and answers before I start there, just to give a quick overview of what we saw today. Very common problem with the companies having a data house divided. Use data warehousing to have a data house united. If you use data warehousing for $2.99 per month, you can get the job done pretty much in half an hour. But absolutely, data warehousing is a great technology to help you bring your house together, your data house together. Give your management easy access to the key performance indicators anytime and anywhere. Excel is a great tool, works for many companies, but for many companies, it's slow, it's complicated, you have to have a desktop, you cannot slice and dice it easily. So we provide a framework that can complement and augment Excel to give users more option to find data in mobile devices, anytime, anywhere. Using data warehousing in tools like Tableau and Power BI, you can dramatically automate complex and labor-intensive distribution and manufacturing reporting. So instead of relying on people doing, export Excel and whatnot, use data warehousing and Tableau and Power BI to help with those tasks. And again, DataSelf out of the box already provides a package with all those components, so you don't have to start from scratch. You start with something very well established. Natural language, artificial intelligence, and machine learning framework we provide out of the box as well can help a lot companies, decision makers to be more self-sufficient. We're also incorporating this technology in the back end. So if you are a business analyst or someone handling the data extraction from source systems, we are also building these amazing AI engines to help you do the job more quickly, more efficiently, and keeping the heart beating more reliably. So a lot of great technology to help keep the decision-making process more, kind of fed with reliable, accurate data. DataSelf overall, what I showed you today, can be deployed in about 30 minutes. That's right, not 30 days, 30 minutes. Deploying DataSelf is very straightforward. You do not need new hardware and whatnot. Whatever you have today working, if you have Acumatica, it's completely cloud to cloud. If you have, on-prem databases like Sage and whatnot, it takes little time to install a small extracting tool on your system. And pretty much in minutes or hours, your data is in the cloud. And now everything that I showed you today would be available for your team to analyze. And again, the starting price is $2.99. And with that review, I'd like to open for Q&A.
Thanks, Johnny. We'll now open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please enter them into the questions section of your GoToWebinar, and we'll give that a minute in case any come through. And just a reminder, everyone, we do have a subject matter expert here. This is a great opportunity to have your questions answered in real time. And it does look like there were a couple questions that came through during the presentation, Johnny. The first being, how long does it take to learn DataSelf?
Good question. So as I showed, the natural language section of DataSelf is something that most users need only a very small introduction. Like, once you show people, hey, go to this page, log in here, and you can give them these people specifically access to their data only through natural language. So 10, 15 minutes of introduction, and these users who are familiar with, searching the internet will be able to find answers to their questions by themselves. So that part of the solution, 15-minute introduction, people are up and running and independent. The report editor, which I showed, which is a functionality that allows people that are going to be building reports and dashboards, we offer 8-hour training that covers the majority of the functionality required to build 80% of the reports. So report editing usually takes about 8 hours of training, even though we have many users that actually have watched a demo like I showed today, and through just trial and looking at online videos and whatnot, they became experts with zero training. So you don't need to go through 8 hours of training, but we recommend because it's a good way to get a lot of the functionality covered. So this part, the report editor in the natural language, is usually what you need to know in order to be pretty much self-sufficient on the front end, on the report design of data self. The back end of data self, the data warehousing framework, that depends on your expertise with source databases. So if you have a Sage and Acumatica, how familiar you are with GIs or databases. If you're very familiar with, then maintaining the data warehouse, we have people that, in a couple of hours, we have shown them the basics, and they became self-sufficient in doing a lot of customizations. We have other clients with very sophisticated reporting needs, multi-company, multi-currency, several data silos they want to consolidate together. And when you go to the very complex enterprise deployments, which I didn't talk about it here today, but with enterprise deployments, training can be multiple dozens of hours, can be a lot of hours for people to become data geeks. So if you want to be one of us, a data geek, you're going to be putting a lot of time into it. The good news is our technology is industry standard. A lot of our framework you can find in Fortune 2000 companies. A lot of the support is actually Googling. If you search for what you want to do in data self, quite often you can find the answers on the internet because we leverage technology that is widely supported industry-wide. So reviewing, natural language, 15 minutes to onboard people, report design, up to 8 hours, give you a lot of capability. And if you want to become a data geek, then there's a lot of hours that you can learn how to customize the whole framework.
Great. And we have another. You mentioned deployment takes 30 minutes, but on average, how long does it take to get reliable reports distributed to users?
All right, good question. So about half of our deployments, we call them the vanilla deployments. Even though they're not vanilla clients, they're unique. They have a lot of data sometimes. They have fairly complex businesses. But from a BI standpoint, we've been doing this for 15 years, and we have built this out-of-the-box solution that is really popular. So about half our clients, it takes literally about 30 minutes to deploy the software. It can take minutes, hours, even days to load all the data initially. If you have a lot of data, it can take days. Most clients in the Sage and Acumatica takes minutes to hours to do the initial load. And after the data has been loaded, when the clients go to access their reports and dashboards, like I showed today, in many cases, again, about half the cases, the data is accurate to the penny out of the box. And if you fall into this category, this half of our clients, it takes literally half an hour of effort in training to get users self-sufficient and running with it. So we have many clients that on day one, they become in production and they run with it. The other half of the clients, many of them, they might require some level of customization, user-defined fields, optional fields, some tweaks here and there. So about 30% of our clients typically takes days for them to test the data, to bring some optional fields, to tweak certain things, to set up security. Usually days to about a week or so, the system becomes in production. So that's about 30% of our clients. And the other 20% of our clients, the last 20% of our clients, they are very sophisticated or they have very sophisticated reporting needs. Those clients sometimes can take weeks and even months to get the data self system into production. But overall, again, half the clients takes 30 minutes, 30% days, maybe a week or so. And the biggest, more sophisticated can take weeks, even months, depending on the complexity of the system.
Wonderful. Give me 1 minute as I take back control of the screen. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joni, for your informative presentation and for taking the time to be here today. For more information on DataSelf, check out our website at swktech.com and click on DataSelf under the Business Intelligence section of the Products tab. Thank you, everyone, for attending our webinar. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Jolene, thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day as well.